All right, folks, so let's dive into this story that's really captured people's attention. We're talking about Kellyanne Conway taking a stand on The View against Joy Behar. Now, this event dates back to just before Donald Trump won the 2016 election. It was a time when Trump's campaign was under fire, and questions were swirling around about his rhetoric and possible ties to Russia. Now, you probably know The View is notorious for its heated debates, right? Well, back then, they decided to bring Kellyanne Conway, Trump's campaign manager, onto the show. And it's one of those moments where you can't help but think, wow, this is about to get real interesting. The hosts, including Joy Behar, were ready to grill Kellyanne over Trump's alleged connections and statements, particularly on topics like nuclear weapons. So here's the scene. Joy Behar is asking Kellyanne if Trump's casual comments about nuclear weapons don't terrify her, given she has children and all.
Oh, Kelly, here's what I want to ask you. When I was 12 years old, they made us go under the desk and hide because the nuclear bomb was about to hit. And I never brought my library books back because I thought, well, we're going to die anyway. What's the point? So your guy, Donald Trump, he's very cavalier about using nuclear weapons. And, and even Europe is off the table. I mean, what? Aren't you petrified? You have 4 children. That scares me more than any other stupid thing he has said.
Well, I'm concerned for everyone's children, and I will just say this to you: it's Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton who gave their president and Secretary of State. They did this Iran nuclear deal.
You're not answering that. You're not asking the question.
Well, here's how I answer the question.
The nuclear deal is a controversial thing in Iran. Wait a second. A lot of people believe that will prevent nuclear war for 10 years. Okay, but that's not my question. My question is his rhetoric is off the wall on this topic.
It's not, actually.
She even brought Europe into the mix, suggesting it wasn't off the table for Trump. And Kellyanne, staying calm and collected, refuted the claims, saying that Trump's comments were often misinterpreted and weren't a direct indicator he would use them.
Words mean a lot.
Words do matter.
I have a grandson. I want to see him get old.
Words do matter, and you should check out Hillary Clinton's words.
Again, with the Hillary Clinton.
Okay, we'll talk about Donald Trump. Donald Trump is winning. And in terms of the ABC poll, I think the most important thing. Nuclear thing?
What, he doesn't mean it? What? What do you think?
Here's what I think, that he will not give, as President of the United States and Commander-in-Chief, he will not strike a deal with Iran that gives him nuclear capability.
Well, here's what he won't do. Is it reckless
North Korea will...
Is his rhetoric reckless?
No, his rhetoric is not reckless.
So when he says, well, maybe we could use a nuclear
you're cherry-picking comments.
What's
You're
the
not
point of having them if you don't use them, he said. What kind of talk is that?
And he's talked about what that means. He doesn't mean that he's going to go and use them. And first of all, this nation has many people in charge of
I like you.
Well, thank you. I like you, too.
I think that right here you're being delusional.
No, I'm not. I'm not being delusional. I really do.
I like you a lot. She's a nice Italian girl. This is a nice...
Right? It's kind of like watching a live chess match with moves and counter moves. Anyway, Kellyanne didn't back down, insisting that many people in the United States would have a role in such decisions, and Trump's rhetoric wasn't reckless, as many claimed.
But she scares me when she thinks that...
I'll tell you what scares me. I tell you what scares me, though. What scares me is the fact that Hillary Clinton always puts Hillary first. It does. It scares me. Guys, you want her to be the President of the United States, and you should look at her entire record. You should see what she's done in office as Commander-in-Chief. She owns the Russia reset. She owns Syria. She owns Libya. She owns the Middle East. She has not proven herself to be fit or qualified to be Commander-in-Chief.
The opposite side of this argument is also that I think some of his appeal is the talk toughness that he has.
Well, we'd like to talk with her, yes.
I'm less afraid of rhetoric. I'm more afraid of terrorism. So I think that there is an appeal to someone who is
on the rise.
Tackle that.
Yes, it's on the rise. I want to say something about his supporters. You mentioned earlier the one supporter in Arizona who I'm told by our head of security and a retired police department official from Arizona was removed from that rally. I immediately condemned it the moment I saw it publicly.
I'm sorry, I'm lost.
The guy in Arizona.
But then, Joy Behar retorted, suggesting Kellyanne was being delusional. Fast forward a bit, and let's think about the current global situation. With conflicts raging since 2022 and a world seemingly more unstable than ever, hasn't this rhetoric discussion taken on a new context? The UN reports more conflicts globally now than at any time since World War II. Talk about a chilling reminder of how volatile things have become. Now, think about this. back in that interview from 2016, Trump described the danger of nuclear weapons in a New York Times interview, labeling them as an absolutely last resort, recognizing the terrifying potential of nuclear power. A big part of his strategy was recognizing both the bewildering power of these weapons and the necessity of matching fiery rhetoric with measured action. And hey, if discussions like this fascinate you as much as they do me, don't forget to subscribe for more. Anyway, back then during the show, another panelist on The View even chimed in, pointing out something that might resonate with many of you. The appeal of Trump's tough talk. It's not, just rhetoric they were concerned about, but actual global safety from terrorism and conflict. This notion of missing the forest for the trees is important, right? So many times, politics can get caught in this trap, nitpicking at every word instead of focusing on the bigger picture. It's no different with international geopolitics, where many rely on words and rhetoric not just as statements of intent, but as strategic tools. Look at it this way. Putin and Kim Jong-un, they don't actually want a nuclear war either. It's about power, control, and bluffing with rhetoric to exact certain geopolitical outcomes. But that's sort of where Kellyanne argued Trump stood out, creating a balance of power using his rhetoric. Now, coming back to The View's conversation about Trump's alleged Russian financial links, it's quite something that just a few years later, people are now questioning Joe and Hunter Biden's foreign dealings. Kellyanne reiterated Trump told her he had not done business with Russia, a claim originally supported by law enforcement's findings. But, of course, there were smirks and dismissals from Joy Behar and others on the panel.
That Donald Trump fixes things, builds things, solves problems.
It's
Hillary
his
Clinton
name
went
on
from dead
everything.
broke to $250 million. No, it's not. It's not his
Somebody
name.
told me Trump Tower is made with Chinese
of people,
steel.
including women. He employs tens of thousands of people, including women. And
Really? I haven't
he's the
met him.
first Republican to ever elevate a woman to this position as presidential campaign manager.
Yeah, he loves women, right?
Yes,
Come
he
on.
does. Yes, he
Come
does.
on,
He's very
Kellyanne.
respectful toward women. And instead of, how about, I know we're not supposed to mention Hillary Clinton is also running for president. Went from dead broke to $250 million. You know what? People should ask them how they did that. They didn't get the Powerball.
You know what?
They didn't
This guy has
public.
lost more money than most of us will ever make in our lifetime.
Self-made billionaire.
He has lost more money.
He's the
If you want to talk about nitpicking, I just want to know what his actual plan is. I love that you come and you make a very good argument for him. Something he seems incapable of doing for himself.
Then why is he winning in your polls?
It's fascinating. Their insistence on tax returns was another heated point, but Kellyanne countered by citing Trump's record for solving significant issues and highlighted his transition from being broke to a billionaire. At the time, it seemed an endless challenge to make her voice heard amid the crowd of co-hosts. And let's not forget, Trump wasn't the only one facing scrutiny. The broader political landscape included plenty of contentious issues, like Hillary Clinton's involvement in foreign policy stumbles that the View audience may not have expected to hear defended. But moving to today's context, as much as Trump's presidency was groundbreaking, it also unfolded into a complex legal conundrum. He became the first U.S. president to face criminal conviction, an unprecedented uproar. Yet, overlaying this with unresolved allegations concerning Joe Biden's Ukraine and China dealings paints a picture of political contention that seems never-ending. Do you think people realize the complexities here? What The View highlighted was just a snapshot, really, of how divided, even polarized, American politics had become and maybe still is. It's like choosing between two paths with no easy options. So, it's, no surprise that criticism of Trump's rhetoric missed the broader impact of these statements, stuff that became clearer in hindsight. And then, Whoopi Goldberg's comments added another layer, focusing on Trump's financial history and basically questioning what his concrete policies were. Her candid approach, while relatable to many, underscored a broader concern about leadership planning and execution during his campaign. Right? These episodes are fascinating partly because they show how predictions and perceptions can be overturned by actual outcomes. The evolving political and social landscapes have only made this clearer with subsequent administrations dealing with new sets of challenges. Looking back now, as discussions continue to swirl around political accountability, leadership style, and global peace, maybe it's more evident just how complicated these matters really are. Perhaps you, just like me, are left wondering what the future holds. In the end, what The View and these discussions remind us is not just about who gets the last laugh, but what we really learned from political rhetoric and the nuanced balance of power on the world stage. And really, isn't it interesting to see how lessons from the past shape our future perspectives? Oh, and before I wrap up, what do you guys think? How does this all play out in today's context? Let me know your thoughts, and let's keep this dialogue going.